First of all, welcome everybody. I couldn't think of a better reason. Wait, that's not how I want to start it. My mom threw a great party, as many of you know. And I hope you're feeling that this is a party that might have lived up to her high standards. Although it's important to say that her high standards were not exactly what your high standards might be.
We're not going to know if it lives up until to her standards until we count how many people are sleeping on the couch.
Okay, yeah. Very good point. If we get up in the morning and some of you are passed out on the pink couch, we'll know it was a good party. Okay? This is this is a lot of pages, so I hope you will bear with me, because I think some of you from one part of my mom's life will learn about other parts of her life. Can you still hear me? Connor, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, Connor Logan, thank you. This is, we didn't plan that.
Everyone gun salute.
This is a toast to my mom, Carol, in multiple parts. Too many I could count, so. And actually what I realized, it's a roast and toast. And it has made it through the focus group of my girlfriends on Saturday. Thank you, girlfriends, who said, no, you need to say this, and this isn't clear, so fix that. So I had lots of great notes from people who also loved my mom. So, if you knew Carol Scove, you knew she could talk. And the topic she often gravitated to was the topic she knew best. Herself. And all that is to say that many of you may have heard many of these stories before, but they are lovingly collected here for posterity by me, Mara, who heard them way more than any of you do. I'm just saying, have some pity on me. For more reasons than that. Okay, section 1, Carol's passions. My mom lived a life of many passions, and everyone would agree that, as the Frank Sinatra song goes, she did it her way. Over the course of her life, she loved, in no particular order, and yes, some things are missing, including every one of you, but I couldn't go on that long. She loved, in no particular order, the daily crossword, skiing the backside of Bogus Basin, Tuesday night Jeopardy with the Knowlton family. Raise your hands, Knowlton family. Let's hear a cheer for the Knowlton family. Trimming roses and irises in her garden. Designing sets and props at Boise Little Theater. Let's hear the Boise Little Theater crowd. Shout out for the Boise Little Theater crowd. Howie Boardwalk. Some of you didn't like him so much, but she loved him anyway. Talking to strangers in the line at the grocery store, which I do now. Broadway show tunes and Hank Williams, among many other things. My Aunt Dean's lasagna recipe, which was a really good thing she got out of marriage to my father, her first husband. Traveling to several continents and countries, rum and orange juice, Franzia and cigarettes, batik outfits from Grenada. And especially telling stories about her life and adventures to visitors on the porch of this beloved family home where we are right now. A fitting last party to my mom, who loved a good party. First years, we're going way back here. My mom was born as Catherine Hart, the fourth in a family that would eventually grow to 6 children. The family lived in Castleford, Idaho. It was an abusive home to her memory. And when she was 6 years old, the Idaho Health and Welfare Agency took the children away from their birth parents. After that, she lived in the children's home on Warm Springs Avenue in Boise with her younger sister, Linda. So those are the first years. Finding family, part 1, adoption. Just down the street lived Hazel Beck Larson and Clarence Theodore Larson. The couple married later in life and could not have children, but they did want to start a family. One day, Hazel went to the children's home to learn about adopting. It's only the first page, I'm so sorry. I hope I give you enough humor along the way to keep your interest. One day Hazel went to the children's home to learn about adopting a baby to complete their family and carry their German and Swedish ancestry to the next generation. But after she met Carol and Linda, she came home to tell Clarence that the blonde, blue-eyed baby boy they thought they were looking for was actually two dark-eyed, dark-haired little girls. Clarence always trusted Hazel's intuition, and the girls came to live with them. Let me see. In the little German-style stucco house, right here, that Hazel's father had built at the bend of Main Street and Warm Springs, where it met Warm Springs Avenue. If you're interested in how that house got from there to here, it's coming.
Yeah.
Depend on it. Carol and Linda's adoption was finalized on April 1st, 1948, when Carol was 7 years old. As the girls grew up, the family always marked that April Fool's Day as their family birthday and celebrated with cake and presents and laughter about who got fooled the most on that day. And this is the part I get very emotional about. My mom always told the story of the first weeks of living with Clarence and Hazel. She was so nervous that she wet the bed every night. And every night, Hazel would get up, and quick as could be, she would have my mom into a clean nightgown, clean sheets on the bed, put her back in bed with a kiss. And my mom said, that's what makes a real mother. So that's what a real mother does. All right, Finding Family Part 2, Sibling Reunion. From the moment the children in my mom's birth family were separated, their oldest sister, Sylvia, made it her mission to someday reunite her sisters and brother. For years, she kept track of where they lived and reach out individually from time to time. Once Sylvia was able to locate the youngest child, who was a toddler when she was adopted, she arranged a reunion in the early 80s so they could get to know each other again. So that was her second family, and my mom stayed close to Sylvia and her sister Sue for the rest of her lives and made our family even bigger. And Kim is here representing one of my personal role models in life, her mom, Sylvia, who I just adored. And I'm so glad that she was so committed to bring her family together because it made ours bigger. Okay. The family home is a legacy. The Larson family home at 133 Warm Springs was a modest 3-bedroom stucco house with arched windows, pretty rose gardens, and a spiraling river rock fountain. The hot water and radiator heating came directly from the geothermal springs that run under the historic homes of Warm Springs. The home was built in the 1930s by Hazel's father, Dr. John Beck, one of the founding doctors of St. Luke's Hospital. Fun fact, Dr. Beck was the first person in Boise to own a car, which he used to make house calls to his patients, and often driven by my grandmother Hazel before she married Clarence. When my mom and Linda came to live there, Dr. Beck was comfortably installed in the back bedroom, those windows there, right, my bedroom right now, where he lived with the family until his death in 1951. My mom was with him when he died. And that started a family legacy of living together in multiple generations through all stages of life. It's a great way to live. I encourage everyone to try it, to be connected to your family. Though the Larson family eventually moved next door to a larger house, the former horse barn that had been remodeled into a rooming house, the Warm Springs property remained a constant in our family life. After I graduated from high school, we moved to Warm Springs to care for my grandfather. From that time, both Warm Springs houses became a site for countless weddings. Who got married there? Okay, oh my gosh. Yes, that's like 5 people in the room here. And parties. Who went to a party there? Yeah, who didn't go to a party? That's the question. Okay, where are we?
Party.
Yeah, party, got it. She also loved maintaining the extensive yard and gardens, and especially the beds of roses rose bushes she trimmed throughout the property, and we've worked on making rose beds in the front to sort of echo what we did, what was on Warm Springs. My grandfather died at home thanks to my mom's care, and afterwards her Boise Little Theater friend Dick Jameson, can you hear me okay? Dick, okay, moved in to rent this house with his partner Vince, and that was the beginning of their close relationship that has lasted over 50, maybe more years. At a certain point I can't count. As St. Louis Hospital expanded from a single block into the surrounding neighborhood in the 1990s, the hospital offered to buy the houses. A lot of you are asking, like, how did it get here? Here's the answer. My mom had a difficult decision to make. Am I doing okay?
Yep.
My mom could you move closer? My mom had a difficult decision to make. She sold the houses to the hospital and built a house up in the foothills on Troutner Way that was there for several years. Dick and Vince went along too, because at a certain point you couldn't separate them. It's a really long story, but eventually the hospital finalized plans for the parking garage that sits there right now in that bend of Maine to Warm Springs. And they wanted to tear down these houses. They asked my mom if she wanted her house back for $1, but she had to find a lot and build in time before the bulldozers showed up. So she moved to here where she had many good friends living. Over the course of one night, the house was picked up, moved 2.7 miles down the Broadway Avenue to a new setting. Her contractor and former Boise High classmate, Rod Heller, where's Sally? There's Sally. Sally is Rod's wife. Still you're married to him. You don't get rid of him through death. Rod's always here. Rod's here in the house in every little cell of it. Veteran house mover Bill Huckstep said they had never seen a more perfect set down than this one. Yeah. My mom always told this story as proof that the house wanted her as much as she wanted it. From that day, the house was known by friends and family as Scove's house, and they started their new life together here in the early 2000s. Year by year, she worked to develop the landscape, putting every single one of those pieces of concrete that you're hopefully not tripping on in place with the rocks inside. She designed the bathroom so she could be wheeled in to the shower as an old lady, but she neglected to imagine that she might need a ramp up to the house. So I'm just saying. She said she was not going to leave the house until feet first, until if it was feet first. And I did not check when they took her out. And I'm kicking myself. I thought I should have gone, make sure she goes feet first. That was her wish. That it really was her wish to die here in the house, which she was able to do. We got her home from St. Luke's, which was an important connection to our family, and she died in the dining room. Okay. How you doing?
Great.
Can I keep going?
You're doing
Okay, thanks. Going back in time, education, marriage, and motherhood. Going back in time, as a young girl, Carol attended the old Central School. Anybody from Central School here? Oh, okay. Including my father. And then Boise High School, where she made lifelong friends that she stayed close to for years. And we ought to acknowledge the Boise High crowd here. After graduation in 1958, many friends dispersed to other states and cities, but she stayed connected to them through her involvement in the reunion. See display inside garage for reunion stories. She saved everything. By the way, that reunion committee finally disbanded in 2019, I think, when the D11's bank account was closed due to inactivity. I found the bank statements to prove it, and I have the envelope with the final $240 in there. So if anybody wants it, you take it for the next reunion. You can claim it after the party. After high school, she attended Boise Junior College, where she made many other lifelong friends. She loved English and history and remembers hearing the quote from a 1903 George Bernard Shaw play, "Those who can do, those who can't teach." How many teachers in the room who think that's bullshit?
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Okay, thank you. while disparaging to teachers and people working in education, including like almost all of my family. There were few options open to smart young women in the late 1950s. True? True. What were your choices, really? Nursing, teaching, yes.
Stewardess.
Motherhood, stewardess, yeah. She got a degree in education. During college, she worked at St. Luke's in the kitchen, peeling potatoes and prepping lunch, or prepping meals. One night out, Daddy, this is your moment. One night out with friends at Quinn's Bar on Vista, and yes, it is
Kathy,
still
plug
there.
your ears.
My mom ran into a handsome guy who, by the way, I just want to say is still extremely handsome. Just ask my stepmom of more than 50 years. We agree on that one. His name was Arnie Scove. And he graduated from Boise Hart 2 years before.
57.
That's what the paper says. Yeah, so maybe it's wrong. They were married in 1959. As far as we know, they moved into the College Court Apartments to 406, where she met Mary McKaylee, who lived there in 408 with her husband and 2 daughters, Mary Beth and Elaine. And Katie came later, but Katie is here. It's okay. We have a moment for you coming up. 9 months after a diaphragm mistake, their daughter, Mara, was born 2 days before my mom's 21st birthday in St. Luke's Hospital. My mom always said that I was the best birthday present ever, and we often celebrated our birthdays together. My mom took classes and cared for all 3 of us girls, the Husky girls and me, at College Court Apartments. Mary McKaylee and my mom named the apartments 4068 because they rarely shut the doors, and we girls just ran back and forth and back and forth. Okay, our family of 3 moved to Moscow so my mom and dad could attend the University of Idaho when I was about 3. And we lived there 1 year, and then 1 year in Oakland, California, while my dad worked on his master's at California College of the Arts, which is where I teach now, by the way. And then 1 more year in Moscow, where they both graduated in 1966. Or thereabouts. Yeah. During the same time as poor students, my mom baked several loaves of homemade bread twice a week, and we ate 1 loaf right when it came out of the oven, dripping with butter. She sewed many of my clothes, and I particularly remember matching mother-daughter Easter dresses 1 year. I think they were like pink seersucker stripe. I don't have those, although they're probably in a box somewhere downstairs. After graduation, we came back to Boise to live at 2614 Catherine Circle on the Boise Bench near the airport off Vista Avenue. Less than a year later, they divorced, and my mom's single life began. She would remain single, and happily and determinedly so, for the rest of her life. That is, except for a 3-month marriage to Joseph Schreiber in the early 80s. But my dad's sister of the famous lasagna recipe fame, Nadine, told her, that doesn't really count because it was so short. And because it happened during what I call her crazy period after my grandfather died. And I just want to mention something to my girlfriends and family members. If I come to you in 6 months and say, I'm marrying so-and-so, you will stop me and lock me in the house, or just bring me to my senses, because it's just not good for anyone. Okay. She knew it too. My parents' divorce turned out to be a very amicable one, thanks to 3 adults. Well, maybe that was just one way she was an adult. But both of my dad and my stepmother, Kathy, what's that?
2.5.
2.5 adults.
2 adults
there you
and
go.
Carol.
My parents' divorce was amicable because neither one of them said a bad thing about the other. And that was very, very mature. You probably had a lot of bad things to say, but you kept them to yourself, and I am grateful for that. Yeah. Okay, where am I? My mom always said that she was the practice wife. Where's Kathy? Right there, okay. My mom always said she was the practice wife for my dad, so he could marry his real wife later. And they celebrated that's why that was so amicable. They celebrated their 50th anniversary 2 years ago, 3 years ago? 5 years ago, during COVID, summer of COVID. So I guess the practice marriage was worth it. Resulted in me anyway. Okay, post-divorce life and the Scove sisters. As two single girls, my mom and I lived a fairly loose family life that revolved around work and school, skiing on the weekends in winter, and going to her friend Ray Strickland's cabin in McCall in the summer. She worked as a caseworker for the state of Idaho, their child protection division, and in her spare time started volunteering with Boise Little Theater. This is the era when she became Scove, as she was known by her dearest friends for the rest of her life. The two Scove sisters grew up together, though if you ask anyone, they will say that only I grew up during that time. Our household expanded when Mary divorced and moved in for a time with her daughters, Mary Beth, Elaine, and youngest daughter, Katie, to make a lively house full of women. And that was a really good time. I had sisters. I was the only child, but I had stepbrother and stepsisters, and I had sisters, and I had Pi-Phi sisters. And so I was never feeling like an only child. I just thought, oh, I have my own house, and I can go hang out with all of those other people. My mom was always outgoing and social and became known among her friends for throwing parties. Probably the most famous was her annual 3-day Memorial Day drunk. Her BJC friend Carol Walker, who's not here because she broke something and got stitches yesterday. She was supposed to be here because she just got back from a European trip yesterday. So Carol's here with us in spirit. She was a graphic designer. She made the invitations, and I remember making little triangle-shaped open-faced sandwiches out of white bread. If any of you looked at the sandwich plate, did anybody dare to try those? Did anybody feel like home because they were what was made in the 60s and 70s? Okay, each decorated with a slice of green or black olive or pimento. She would drink rum and orange juice out of a gigantic brandy snifter and dance barefoot among her friends, some of whom would be asleep in the morning on poof pillows in the basement. That's Larson's comment earlier. That's when I went to my dad's because things were more predictable. You could get 3 square meals and some adult supervision. So that was always a safe place to go. Okay, I didn't number these pages, but I think we have 3 left. Social work, making lifelong friends and supporting children. After her divorce, my mom had to go to work, and she found her first teaching job at North Junior High School teaching English to a challenging group of 7th graders. It was also her last teaching job. She admitted she just hated it. It was also, it was her job. Instead, she took a job as a social worker and became a caseworker for the state of Idaho's Office of Child Protection. Social work, especially child protection, is unpredictable and stressful, and the friends became very, very close. They pulled together at work. They also pulled together after work as sisters. My mom was revolutionary for being, at least this is what she told me. So some of you child protection people might have a different story, but she told me that she was the first woman to push back from wearing dresses to go see her casework or people on her case. Her clients, yes, because some of the homes she visited were dirty, and some of the homes she visited were dangerous, and she needed to be comfortable and be able to get up and go right away. And remember, this is the days when you wore very short dresses, so your legs were exposed. Okay, love of travel, anywhere, anytime. Her bag was packed. My mom appreciated how travel can connect people to folks across the world. And if you want to know how much she loved to travel, just go to the bathroom right here. There, embedded in the tile, is a record of places she traveled to over the years in souvenir tiles and a collage of collectibles from the Caribbean. In fact, every time she would see a plane, she would call out to it and say, "Please take me wherever you're going." She didn't care, she just wanted to go. She always told the story of being a little girl when the National Geographic magazine came out in the 1940s. I tried to find it. I probably have it somewhere. And they did an illustrated article on China. She saw a picture of the Great Wall of China, and she wanted to go there. I want to go there someday, she said. And in 2017, thanks to Larson from your middle school, high school Chinese, and our ability to take her, we had a 3-generational trip.
It wasn't my middle or high school Chinese. It was the pictures on the menu.
Excellent. So we went as a 3-unit, and I would say, Mama, 我的 mama, 我的儿子, which is my mother, me, my son. And everybody loved that because Chinese culture is a very deep, connected, familial culture. Anything else?
Oh, that's
Okay.
it, yeah.
Okay, here is a list of my mom's favorite places to go. Anywhere. And as I mentioned, her bag was always packed. It was packed for New York for Broadway plays and city culture, Grenada in the West Indies for the pristine white sand beaches and Carib beer, multiple European countries with differing traveling companions over the years. How many people have been to Europe with my mom? Banji, where are you? Yeah. And with Larson and me to fulfill that childhood dream to walk on the Great Wall, and countless trips to the misty Oregon coast. But she always came back to this little house, wherever it was, that had been a part of her life since she was adopted. So this was home, and you were at home. You're at Scove's house, and this is a moment I want to welcome you. I left the cigarettes. She smoked one cigarette when she got back from the hospital, and then went into the house, never smoked another cigarette. That pack of cigarettes will stay there as long as nobody steals it, and you are always welcome to come sit there on the porch.
You can smoke one too. We're not going to use them.
Yeah, not using it. Okay, Boise Little Theater, hold on. Boise Little Theater, Peace Corps, and Larson in the end. Ready? 4 more sections?
We're ready.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right. How's the timing?
You're fine.
Am I reading slow enough? That was one of my
You're
notes.
doing great.
From my focus
You're
group.
doing great.
Okay, thank you. Am I loud enough, Cassie? Thank you. It's great to have girlfriends. Boise Little Theater, behind the scenes and on stage. Longtime Boise Little Theater friend, Joanna Marshall, where are you? There you are. Remembers witnessing the beginning of my mom's association with BLT in the summer of 1967. She walked in the green room and said,
I'm here, put me to work.
I'm here, put me to work. And work she did. Her first assignment was props assistant to Joanna on Barefoot in the Park. And she always talked about how scary it was to climb onto the catwalk over the stage and drop fake snow on the actors during the winter scene. She was immediately smitten, and according to Joanna's amazing history of BLT participation, which included my father with covers for the programs, me being in plays like as the run-on part, like a little child, and even my grandmother, my dad's mom, as usher in 1955. Like, what a historian you are, amazing. So we know that she was involved in how many? 62 productions. Over the years, she took on nearly every role at BLT, continuing to work on props, costumes, makeup. She got interested in set design and won several awards, and she did sound work, and the awards are up there in our curated displays. Though she preferred backstage and production work to acting, she still stepped on stage to play small roles in many plays, although she played Morgan Le Fay, which was not too bad. Her BLT work gave her so much pleasure and community connections. She took on the role of box office manager in 1985 and worked there until COVID shuttered the theater in March 2020. Over the years, she shared the job with Ruth Stemper and Sarah Church Carroll, who can't be here today, unfortunately. And many summers she was assisted by Larson at age 8, who became a familiar voice on the line. Boise Little Theater, how may I help you?
It was more high pitched than that.
Oh, can you talk to that guy?
Yeah. No, but no. If I talk to you on the phone back then, you're not going to recognize my voice now.
Yeah.
So.
In addition to working on plays on the box office, Carol served as a board member from 1982 to 1984. Thank you, Joanna Marshall. I'm citing my source. She received the theater's Gold Key Award for the 1993-94 season and capped off her accolades with the honor of Lifetime Patron membership in 2020. BLT brought her so many strong connections, as you well know, and generations of friends over the nearly 70 years that she spent there. Golly, maybe it's only 60 years. Bad math. Okay, the Peace Corps. doing the toughest job you'll ever love in paradise, otherwise known as Grenada, West Indies. The Peace Corps was established in March of 1961 to promise global democracy and development and give young Americans the chance to learn about the world while serving others in developing nations. When my mom heard about the Peace Corps that spring, she immediately wanted to join. There were only two things standing in her way, and they were significant. She was a young married woman with a husband in college, and she was pregnant with me. So nearly 30 years later, she would have her chance. As she mentioned to me that I always wanted to join the Peace Corps. And I said, well, what are you waiting for? And within a few months, she surprised the heck out of me and signed up and was sent to Grenada, a lush volcanic island with brilliant white sand beaches in the West Indies region of the Caribbean. Looking out the window, this is before Google, before you could see where you're going. She looked out the window, she's like, oh, mountains, I can live here. And the whole plane, according to her story, which might have been embellished a little bit, all the other passengers started laughing because she said that. They're like, yeah, we're a volcanic island. Of course we have mountains. My mom was a small business advisor to White Cane Industries, a craft shop that employed blind Grenadians using their considerable hand skills in weaving cane furniture and making handicrafts for local tourists' uses. Summer here, you are also invited to take something home if it would be meaningful to you. So, if that table is empty at the end of tonight, I will be thrilled. And I think my mom would be too. Okay. As is often the case in the most meaningful jobs we do, my mom went to Grenada to help a business to thrive. But what ended up happening was that she thrived too. Her openness and willingness to learn from others made her many friends that she kept close the rest of her life. On holidays, she traveled around the region to explore many of the surrounding islands and South America. She also celebrated her 50th birthday in Grenada with me and a group of family friends who came with 30 birthday presents, with 50 birthday presents. To be fair, to make 50, 5 of them were blue boxes of macaroni and cheese. And 5 of them were, Sharon, where are you?
Here.
Were Sharon and me, Sharon's sister Patty, who isn't here but here in spirit, and Hallie Longteague, and my boyfriend at the time, Gregory, who all went and celebrated with her at her 50th birthday. After she returned to Grenada, after she returned from Grenada, she hosted numerous returned Peace Corps volunteers picnics. How many of you are Peace Corps folks? Just Vanishing? Okay.
Cool.
They had parties here, and she stayed close to Grenadian friends and her Peace Corps friends. And she hosted many people from Grenada here, and she brought many of you to Grenada to enjoy what she learned there. Mike, where are you? Mike Mather. There you are, Mike. Her beloved cousin Mike Mather accompanied her in January 2025 on her last visit. And they stayed at La Sagesse, which was an extended family place. Family-run hotel on a pristine crescent of white sand beach that had become her Grenadian home over the last years. Did you know that would be your last time? Her last time? Larson and I we thought if she goes and she dies in Grenada, great. It would be a wonderful, wonderful place to go. But instead she waited.
I don't know if Mike thought that, because then he'd have to take
Actually, yeah, good point. We didn't mention any of that possibility, but Larson and I did talk about it amongst ourselves. Okay, 2 more sections, and then we have a toast. And then we hear from Larson and some other folks. Expanding her family one person at a time. Well, only one person, him, Larson. Now is the moment that I would like to take time to apologize for being an only child and having an only child. Neither of these things are my fault. Blame them on biology and timing. I know you are so sick of hearing about Larson, and me from my mom. That is also not my fault.
Well, if you
So-
weren't so smart and beautiful and all that, it wouldn't have been a problem. Come on.
So I don't have to say a lot about how proud my mom was of her grandson Larson. You already know it. You have already heard so much about Larson the Magnificent. Yeah, some of you already know that. That he is caring and kind and an intelligent person, and other stuff I won't bore you with or embarrass him with right now. My mom also called him Lala, Pumpkin Boy, and Poopy Lolly, for reasons unknown to all of us. My mom also always wanted to be called Granny for her future grandchildren. But when she visited Vanji in Bulgaria, Vanji was in the Peace Corps in Bulgaria, she learned that Bulgarian grandmas are called babas. And that's what she knew. She came back from Bulgaria. I want my grandchildren to call me Baba. I personally think it was because if you think of what babies say, ba 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 la 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 ma ma ma, it was because Baba are two syllables that babies can babble, and she wanted to improve her chances of having Baba be one of the first words that came out of her pumpkin boy's mouth. Last page. Thank you for going along with me on this history story. And thank you for laughing at the points where I wanted you to laugh. Final years, friends and family to help her live independently. It's what we all can hope for, right? Since COVID, my mom's health diminished, and she was no longer able to work in her yard. On her own, she chose to stop driving. Note to self, children with parents, you know. So I was very thankful for that. And by the way, Daddy, they might suggest that I'm the one to take the keys away from you, but you could give them up on your own at some point. Not now, not for a long time. Just saying. The doctors for every single body part helped her manage her ailments, which were countless, though she never wanted to admit any pain and always said to me when I called her on the phone, "I'm just humming along," which I looked up in the dictionary, and here's what it says. My body is falling apart in so many ways that I can't keep track, and I have pains that I am working on hard to ignore. That's what that meant. Or something like that. She also suffered the frustrations of a highly independent person who feels that they need to lean on others for help. That was very, very hard for her. Many people helped fulfill my mom's wish to age in place in her home, and many of them are you here today, and many of them are people who aren't here today. And I just want to acknowledge that it could not have been done without the village that she created by knowing all of you. And I want to call out 3 people in particular. Vicki, where are you, Vicki Cabelli? Where's Vicki?
Right here.
Oh, Vicki? Oh my gosh, they're all right here. Vicki, Dick, and Mike. Oh God, I can read. I know. Just take a picture of everybody here. We're gonna do a photo op while everybody gets ready. Yeah, just